Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call to order our executive committee for the Palouse Valley Recycles today, Wednesday, October 1st, 2025 at 2:36 p.m. And have roll call, please.
Alternate Vice President De La Rosa absent. Vice President Frick.
Yes, here.
President Silva.
Present. Thank you. General Manager.
I have no comments today.
Thank you. Department Manager comments on topics that aren't going to be discussed down the road. Nothing? We're just going to move right along. Okay, Roy, you're up. General Counsel comments.
No comments from me at this time, Madam President.
Thank you. Committee, Glenn, have any comments today?
No comments.
All right. Sure, just on it.
Oh, this way.
My only comment is thank you, Erica, for always getting such delicious treats for us. You've had so much heartache, I thought I'd let you know. Public comments. I can receive public comment from the audience on items which are not on today's agenda. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes on any topic that's not already listed on our agenda. I see nobody here other than presenters. So I would take nobody here. Anybody on Zoom?
Nobody in Zoom.
Anybody on email?
Nobody in Zoom.
Okay, we'll close that and go to consideration items. Minutes of our September 3rd executive meeting. Discussion one.
No comments.
No comments? No input? Okay, take it out to public. See nobody here in the room. Is there anybody on Zoom?
Nobody on Zoom.
Anybody on email?
No.
Okay, then I will bring it back for action.
Don't make a motion.
And I'll send it. Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the September 3rd meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Thank you. Item number 2, August 2025 claims and financial reports. Staff report.
Right, at the end of August, year-to-date revenues are $8,000 below budgeted projections, which is nothing, but it's the first time in a long time I remember I'm saying we're behind projections. That being said, expenditures are actually doing really well. Last year we were at 27% of our budget spent at the end of August. We're only slightly below 25% this year, with none of the line items high. It's still only August. We did in August report our just shy of $3 million debt service, which is the large portion of that debt service. But we'll keep an eye on it and let the board know if there's anything adjustments that needs to be done. But as of right now, we're in line with where we should be.
Minus 8,000.
Minus
I
8,000.
mean, is that because revenues are down or projections from the finance department?
Solid waste tonnage is slightly down compared to last year. We're right around the projected amount, and better materials are slightly up, but $8,000 I think is still a fairly good number to be. Feelings are hurt though.
And polish off that crystal ball. And any others on that share committee?
No, I've had no comment.
Okay, seeing no more here. How about any comment from the public on Zoom? None. Email?
None.
And I'll bring it back. This is just to forward with your comments, with our comments. And so we don't have to take a vote on this, right? It just forward to the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we will. And are you gonna find that 8,000 between now and the meeting?
Yes, I'm not gonna look for it.
All right, we'll move on to item number 3. Annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2025.
Sorry, let's talk about some good numbers. Okay, so this is the annual comprehensive financial report for June 30th. One point out that October 1st is the earliest this report has ever been delivered. It was delivered on October 1st before, but that was a Thursday, so Solon's a day ahead of the record. So kudos to you, Colin. Thanks for all your hard work. Report is presented in draft form. There will be one minor edit, but the numbers themselves are done. They're complete. We're not changing anything. And we'll have the final report presented attached to the board document. Next slide, auditors, McGilloway, Ray Brown and Kaufman. We do have Colin, who was the lead, and then Jacinto, who is the managing partner in charge of the audit. Was presented by the finance staff. Ernesta, who gets to manage most of the audit process and get the auditors everything they need, and then Sama, who would do the bookkeeping and accounting throughout the year to make my life easy during this process. So thank you to both of them, and then not listed, but Monica, who also does a really good job with the HR and filing side of it. So when the auditors came in, she kind of stuff with them. Next slide. It is an annual comprehensive financial report. You jump like 3 slides. Which includes a statistical section, and it will be submitted to GFOA for the annual report. We've received the Excellence for Financial Reporting Award 11 years, I lost count. We have no reason to believe we're not going to get it again. And there is no management letter. The new capital pronouncement statement number 102 is certain risk disclosures. And it's just new guidance on how to disclose concentrations in revenue and expenditures. We already have always had a disclosure for concentration of revenue. Republic and Waste Management are a large part of our revenue stream, so it had zero effect to our financial. Next, please. So key numbers in our financial highlights. Operating revenues increased 1.9 million. So that's due to increases in 8939 fees, some tonnage increases, on a one-time huge revenue impact from the project at the wastewater treatment plant of Salinas. Operating expenses decreased 634,000. A big part of that is post-closure that decreased 900,000, and that's just due to a change to the estimate and the liability for the Halone Road post-closure. Operating contracts decreased 165,000, personnel costs 250,000, and those are just general increases. Depreciation increased 82,000, which is negligible. Another operating increases of 100,000. Tons landfill did decrease 2,461 tons. We ended the year just over 25,000 tons, which is our budgeted projections for this year. So as long as they don't go down, we should be good on those. Next slide. So this is just a nice chart of everything I just talked about. Operating income increased 2.5 million. Operating income increased 2.5 million, and non-operating revenue increased 500,000. Increasing our bottom line is $8.3 million. So assets and liabilities are net assets. So that is current total plus deferred revenue. Outflows of resources increased by $5 million, and our liabilities decreased by $3.3 million. Mostly our debt service, which we paid down just shy of $3 million, increasing that position by $8.3 million. Next slide. So just a more granular look of the changes in our net position. We added $4 million in fixed assets. 2.5 million of that is the new pad over at Johnson Canyon for organics processing. We bought some equipment. Our debt went down 2.7 million. So that increased our net position by 6.7 million. Post-closure payable at the closed sites increased by 272,000. Cash allocated increased by 9,000. Post-closure decreased by 272,000. Cash increased by 9,000. So it increased our net position by 280,000. And at Johnson Canyon, our post-closure payable liability increased by 170,000. Closure payable increased by 210,000. We did set aside 170,000 for it, so it did decrease our net position by 213,000. But we are fully funded for both closure and post-closure. We actually have an excess of 1.7 million for the closure of that landfill with the post-closure funded exactly at the current liability. And then OPEB, and pension, we actually have a $2 million net asset for both the OPEB and pension. So those are our largest, personnel liabilities. That's an increase of 100,000, and then, cash receivables and payables increased by 1.5 million. Once again, that increases our net position by $8.3 million to $50.5 million. So just, I like this chart, because it's a nice historical chart of our net position. So we started with a bunch of paper assets, no cash, had to take out loans. Fun fact is we did look it up. Patrick got hired right before that last dip, or was it at the actual dip?
No, right before that, so we closed Crazy Horse.
So, so that last dip, so his first budget that he was responsible for was that bottom key.
Big dip.
The bottom thing. That was the first budget he was responsible for. So,
That's Patrick, the possibility.
no. Well, Patrick is saying, I'm gonna get up, but. Patrick got hired here. So then we dropped his responsibility, because he's saying this wasn't his budget.
He inherited.
So this was when he had his first budget, so he inherited the absolute lowest point of the agency's section of the line, and we'll just wait out. Well, I got promoted to finance manager when I passed. That being said, I do have Colin Linder, who's the audit manager, and Jacinta, who is the audit partner, from McGill Wayward, Brown and Kaufman. There are some required communications that they need to present to the executive committee. Then I'll hand it over to them.
Perfect. So the other ones, Colin Linder, Jacinto Acosta Bernal, both from McGill Wayward, Brown and Kaufman. And our required communications letter effectively summarizes our responsibilities as your auditors, management's responsibilities as the auditee, and other relevant matters to the financial statements. First, what are our responsibilities as your auditor? We have to plan and perform the audit in accordance with professional standards. Those standards are the generally accepted auditing standards established by the AICPA, the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. Additionally, another responsibility of ours is to provide reasonable but not absolute assurance that financial statements are free of material misstatement. That being said, there remains the risk that something we may not have taught. However, that's just the nature of the business. Additionally, we make a consideration to the internal controls of the authority, that being relevant approvals, reviews. We look at that, but we do not provide an opinion on their operating effectiveness, mostly in relation to the figures that are presented. Secondly, what's management responsible for? Management is responsible for the application and selection of accounting policies. As described in note 1, it's the big summary of significant accounting principles, and it is effectively how you guys treat your account. Additionally, all relevant governmental accounting standard board accounting updates have been implemented. As Ray noted, GASB 102 was implemented, certain risk disclosures for the concentrations. During the course of the audit, we noted no transactions for which there was a lack of authority. You can essentially link directly to an accounting standard for each transaction. All significant transactions have been recognized in the financial statements for the current year. Regarding accounting estimates, we reviewed the underlying assumptions for significant estimates, and those significant estimates in our eyes were the calculation of the closure and post-closure liabilities for the landfills, the pension liability, and the other post-employment benefits assumption. All the pension and OPEB are both done by the actuary. Closure, post-closure are done partially in-house, partially by Cal Recycle. And we've evaluated those underlying assumptions and found them to be appropriate. Can we go to the next slide, please? Additionally, we're required to communicate what we deem to be sensitive financial statement disclosures. What makes a note sensitive is we feel that it's particularly relevant to the users of the financial statement, that being management, the board of directors, and the general public in this case. Oh geez, I don't know if those no references are right, but we've considered the note 10 for the landfills to be a sensitive financial statement disclosure. Note 12 for the pensions. Let me verify that those note numbers are correct.
I'm looking right now.
Landfill is 9, of course.
There one.
Yeah, one off, one down. So note 9, landfill closure, post-closure. Note 11, retirement program for pension. Note 12, other post-employment benefits, OPEB. And note 15, commitments and contingencies, and that summarizes the corrective action plan as well as the insurance coverage the authority has. And of course, during the course of the audit, we encountered no issues working with management. Ray is great and his team is great. Ernesto gave us everything we could possibly want, essentially day of, if not hour of. As always, very impressed and thankful for the authority's team. Additionally, to our knowledge, Ray didn't go out and get a second opinion with other accountants.
No.
No. Additionally, with regard to the timing of the audit, everything went according to schedule, no significant delays and no disagreements with management. Additionally, there is information in the financial statements that is within the annual comprehensive financial report that is not the financial statements or the related notes. And that is the required supplementary information for the pension and the other post-employment benefit amounts. And then there's other information accompanying the financial statement, that being the introductory letter, management's discussion and analysis, and those two sections are at the beginning, and the statistical section way down at the end. And those three pieces are required to make it a annual comprehensive financial report and to be able to submit it to the GFOA, Governmental Financial Officers Award. And additionally, this information is restricted and used for management of the authority and the board of directors. And additionally, during the course of the audit, we had no material adjustments. The only thing that we did change related to the prior year for the closure, post-closure, the reallocation thing, but no impact on the bottom line. And then management letter material deficiencies. This is where we communicate any significant findings in internal control matters, and we noted that. So that I'm doing. Any questions?
It sounds like the same report that we've been hearing, which I love, because I like hearing this kind of reporting year after year. So, any questions, comments?
No, it's nice to hear that without any problems.
Yeah,
Been telling Patrick for 11 years that it can't be perfect forever. So we'll just keep it going as long as we
we
can.
can try.
Been doing the audit of this organization.
But
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think that FOA award
Yeah.
starting together one.
I would tend to agree with
we
that.
did have a management letter the first couple of times you guys did around. But that was also years ago. So
Was that before you took over the hundreds? Well,
it was not actually our first two audits, so it was more of beginners pain of setting up processes, and Robert was like everything.
but it made it better once you got the letters, right? It got corrected and
Got the letters,
stayed on course.
Robert fixed everything, and I managed not to break anything since he left, so.
There you go. Okay, so since there's no other discussion from the committee, I'll take it out for public comment. Anybody on Zoom?
No.
Anybody on email?
No.
If not, I think the consensus is we'll move it forward to board. Thank you so much for your presentation. We'll look forward to seeing you at the board meeting.
Lovely.
And if Patricia wants to come too with her dog, she can come. You know, Ashley will be there too, maybe. Who knows? Thank you so much.
Great, thank you guys.
Mhm, thank you.
And thank you for the plot for it.
Okay, so we'll move on to item number 4. Notification of the release of a request for bid for the Johnson Canyon Landfill Module 8 construction project. Staff report, please. I think that's you, Brian.
Okay, so, it's time to deliver the module. It's module 8.
Wow.
Go ahead, next question. So, landfills, what is it? What's this part? Move the bar, yeah. So the, landfill's, design calls for 10 different modules. We're currently, operating module 7. So they're dumped sequentially, so the next one would module 8. Go ahead, next slide, please. And this is, where it's located on the landfill, so we're moving to the west. So it's right adjacent to module 7, west and module 8. It's very simple design, it's relatively, it's just gonna have a flat bottom and 2 wings up on the slopes on the north and south. Next slide, please. So we have a site life projection based on, about, I think it's 220,000 tons a year. So we're pulling this landfill a little early, or this module. We're not really scheduled to go into module 8 till 2030. But then after that, module 9 is 2040, 2050, module 10 is 2066. Next slide, please. So the reason we're building a little early is module 7 was built kind of narrow. There's a couple of reasons, primarily due to the lack of available space for the bar material. We had to excavate
Just water material?
the bar, we had to excavate soil and put it somewhere. So we had a limited place. We're actually fortunate. We built out the organics operating pad to the tune of probably 80,000 yards, and then we filled in a ravine of about 100,000 yards, and then we had some other stockpiles. But we really didn't have more space in that. Also, we had financial constraints. We wanted to pay cash for it, and we built it about as big as we could afford. Next slide, please. So what happened with that, and what this slide is showing is that our existing, and why we're building module 8 earlier, is our existing module 7 is narrow. And when we fill it, it fills like a trapezoid, right? So you're filling it because we have to have an outer slope. So the operating area for the staff to actually do operations is only 150 feet or something across. And so, and we found when we first went into module 7 that it's difficult, just challenging to get vehicles in there, get the transfer trucks in there, get the public in there. It's just a limited work area. So next slide, please. So as you can see, this is the current fill area. The idea is to build module 8 now early, so we can have a larger operating area. So module, we're actually currently filling in 4, 5, 6 modules. We'll be out of there probably in March, and then we'll move back into module 7 and hope to have module 8 built by the end of the year. And then we'll go into module 8. And next slide, please. And then with module 8, we'll bring it up to the elevation of module 7, and then we'll have a much larger operating surface, and we won't have to build the next module until 2040. So like it'll be there for 13 years. Next slide, please. So this is a picture of what the current top deck of module 7 looks like. You can see we have some storage of waste bins up there, and so a metal pile there. But it is pretty narrow. And next slide, please. And this is what you're looking at is module 8. So module 8 is on the right, module 7 is on the left. And the idea again is to line module 8, start filling, and then get those elevations up to the same elevations. And that'll give us a really good long-term operating surface. Plus it'll be more organized and more orderly fill sequencing, better for the landfill gas system, better for stormwater control. It'll be better all the way around. Plus, even though we're building it 3 years early, the costs are going to be, it's cheaper. 3 years from now, it'll be 3 years more expensive than for materials, labor, and equipment and all that. Next slide. So maybe Ray, you want to take this one?
Okay, so funding for the project, the current engineered estimate is 7.1 million. We're expecting the construction quality assurance to charge about 10%, usually about the project 7 or 12,000. And then staff has been continually working on a module excavating and grading to try to minimize the overall cost. The total cost of the project is a little over $8.1 million. Currently, we have $5 million in the new self-construction CIP. That's the $5 that we've been setting aside for several years, minus some equipment and staff work that we've done over the years. We're budgeted to set aside 1.1 million this year, which means we have to borrow just shy of $2 million from capital reserves to fully fund the project. And we won't know the final numbers until we get actual bids in from construction projects, so this is an early estimate. So assuming we borrow $2 million from the capital project reserve, we would pay it back from the next 2 years worth of $5 set aside. Just shy of 2 years, so the 2026, 27 set aside, and part of the 27, 28 set aside. As Brian mentioned, we are building this a couple of years early, so we'll have plenty of time to build that back up for the next sale after that. And then this was part of the presentation during the retreat. I did estimate that we're about $2 million short for this project, so.
And I anticipate that it will come in hopefully significantly less than the engineer's estimate.
Right.
The module 7 was 3.8 million or something. And this one's pretty straightforward.
Right, so this is the engineer's estimate without contingency, so Brian keeps asserting, we won't know, like I said, we won't know until we get the bids, because 30 to 7.1 million is enough to cover the cost, including contingency, so we'll know when we get there. So there is a plan to borrow and pay money back, and that does still leave money for the current estimate on North County Transfer Station with the deferred Johnson County, which is coming in a couple years from now.
And I think that's it.
Okay,
Any questions?
questions, Glenn?
No questions.
My question is, has the anticipated growth in our valley cities, especially Gonzales, has that been taken into consideration on the future after Module 8? I mean, obviously, within the next 3 years, we're probably not gonna have a house built yet there. And hoping that everything goes well with LAFCO and things start moving on the Fano property. You said that the next thing after this is scheduled to start building in 2040, after the 2030. Might that be brought up sooner? Obviously, if we have the need for additional space.
So the master plan has a predicted population increase in it. I think it's 2% per year. We don't think we hit that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the
No.
answer is yes, we do have a predictor.
All right.
Do you use any AMBAG's projections at all?
For,
Population increase?
I don't, well, the next plan was done about 5 years ago. I don't believe so. I think we just use a straight, do we use a straight?
It was a straight increase, yeah.
Because, and I'm not saying theirs is gonna be actually right either, because I'm still on that board and I see stuff going all over the place, but I mean, it's just 2% increase. It's a reasonable number to pick on. But there's always fluctuations around onto these things, so it's, just. I mean, what about Salinas? Obviously Salinas goes down there too, and there's really growth onto there. I just kind of wonder if there's not a way we have a better estimate than just.
So what we do annually is we do a aerial survey and we calculate the amount of airspace that we consume by soil we move, the remaining airspace, and it's really close to our projections, right? Very close, actually. So in real time, we are monitoring that, right?
Okay.
I just don't want you to make an $8,000 error anywhere.
I mean, yeah.
Well, man, actually, to go all the way back to our 2002 EIR, we're really right on the projection.
Mhm.
But I want to interject one very interesting fact that we never ever talk about. Well, we don't talk about Mandy because she's always in the room. But the work that it's a backhand problem. The work that resource recoveries do and our haulers is reducing garbage going in landfill. And over time, we hope that the landfill tonnage stays even as we find ways to, just like we're doing now with the organics technology RFP, looking for technologies that can mine more materials out of the garbage that we can't collect through personal responsibility at the curb. And so that's always the plan. So it makes it harder to project. If we're just projecting garbage being generated, then yes, we have to look at population changes and growth and development plans by each of the cities and how many people and when they're going to come on. But it's not that easy anymore. Because we are hyper focusing the whole industry in the state and counter cycle on expanding diversions. So,
Right, and the challenge of deciding a new landfill is so onerous that the closer we get to our closure date, the more precious it's gonna be to find alternatives to this landfill, which we are now.
Okay.
So we always say, how long is it gonna last? We always say at the current disposal rates, it'll last 0.66 or whatever.
that's based on cheaper stuff.
And you,
2%.
Brian, you mentioned that on the module 7, something about it's not as wide as it could be because you needed to put the dirt someplace, is that what it is?
Yeah, there was a cut fill, right? We had to excavate lay the soil to put the line cell in there, and then the site has a net soil balance almost even. It's a challenge of having to get the soil out of the way and put the garbage in, and then use the soil to the flow here and put the cut.
Well, we have that covered, right, going forward? Are we gonna be putting the dirt on the neighbor's property?
Hopefully.
Okay, so that hasn't been
Yeah,
defined yet.
It's in negotiations.
Got it, okay. Remember we took the DeGan Peters property. So that's what they were just saying, or the dirt. Okay. Okay, so no more discussion from our committee. I'll take it out for public comment. Anybody on Zoom?
Nobody else would.
Anybody on email?
No.
Thank you. Then we will move this forward to our board for further action. Okay, now up to our future agenda items.
All right, well, we're getting towards the end of the year, so we'll be trying to talk about the new schedule for the board for 2026. A few agreements we have to get approved. And of course, you guys will be seeing the audit report again. We'll be introducing our youth council. Possibly we're gonna do our code amendment starting in October. We're still, Roy's office is working on one of the components of some code updates, one that specifically came out of the strategic plan. That's a possibility of the board adopting an ethics code. And so his office is helping us prepare that one, as well as some updates to the general manager's purchasing limits, which have really not been addressed for, a very, very, very long time. So we're really sort of behind the 8 ball on that, after having to bring a lot of what are now smaller contracts back to the board that could better be suited as an administrative approval. So part of that will be looking at raising the limit on the GM. So those 2 items are scheduled to be updated in the code. We're hoping we'll get them done in time for the October meeting for the first reading, but more than likely, we're going to be looking at starting that in November and then having the final adoption in December or January.
You mentioned that Roy was working on something with regards to the ethics.
Yep.
Does that include that Levine Act? Because we did not take any action at the board meeting. I think you there, right?
No, it doesn't include the Levine Act. It's just it references the fair political practices components of ethics, but it's really dealing more with general ethics requirements than specific like monetary conflicts or donation conflicts.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And then, of course, we'll be hearing Brian's presentation again and getting the final authorization to release the bids for Module 8. And then we also have the ongoing general manager recruitment, which we'll have a few items to discuss in closed session on that, as well as starting the final labor negotiations with our operations crew. My goal is to hopefully have that contract completed into the board by December for approval and have that ready for the new fiscal year.
Thank you.
Anything else you'd like to add or subtract or modify? Who to get a hold of myself or?
Okay. Seeing no further business to discuss at this time, we will adjourn into closed session. I will receive any public comment before entering into closed session. We have 3 items to discuss. First one is pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6 to provide instruction to General Manager CAO Patrick Matthews and General Counsel Roy C. Santos to negotiate salaries and benefits for the Salinas Valley Recycled Field Operations Unit. Next item, conference with legal counsel pending litigation pursuant to paragraph 4 of subdivision D of Government Code Section 54956.9. Arsenio Gordon versus Salinas Valley Solid Waste Authority, et al. Case number 25 CV004179. And last item, pursuant to Government Code Section 54957. To confer with General Counsel Roy C. Santos and General Manager CAO Patrick Matthews concerning appointment of public agency employee, General Manager. Okay. Where Patrick go? Here it is. Okay, we will adjourn the closed session at 3:12.
Awesome.
Thank you. We will reconvene. It is 4:07. And I'll reach out to our legal counsel. Is there anything to report out, Roy?
No reportable actions at this time, Madam President.
Thank you. With no further business to discuss today, I will adjourn this meeting today at 4:07 and a half. Thank you.
Thank